So what's ultimately wrong with this team? Because people see Russell Wilson and they say, hey, it's Russell Wilson. Has he had some sort of a mid-career meltdown? Is it him? Is it the running game? Is it the offensive line? Is it the defense? It's just so – I mean, because, look, the defense – it didn't seem horrible last night. That may be because we didn't see Washington capitalize the way they should on their opportunities. But I just felt like the offense could get absolutely nothing going. And every time Russell Wilson threw a football, it seemed destined to hit an open patch of green grass.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, he's out of sync. There's no doubt. Yeah, the defense, you're right. They're respectable. They've been better. They don't let you score touchdowns. But they're still the worst defense in football as far as yards are concerned. There's too many slow deaths. And then, so now there's no run game. They're not great up front. And basically what we're saying is we're relying on Russell Wilson to get hot and, just be, all systems go, Russell Wilson MVP candidate. And it's not going to happen right now. Not with, I think, the state of their offense, and the fact that they can't run the ball. They're not overly creative in the pass game. And then I will say this, he's not playing his best. Has he, maybe dipped, he's not quite as athletic as he used to be. I think that's fairly obvious to see that he cannot run around and make the magical plays we used to see Russell Wilson make. That happens very rarely now. So that's, I think, something we gotta put in the back of our head. Him extending plays and making magic is slowly going to dissipate. Is that right? Dissipate, right? I think it is.
Yes.
Out of his game. And I think you're seeing that. Damn, I don't know how I got that one. I pulled that out of my butt. But that, and then, hey, I will give him a little free pass in the middle finger. Man, that's, if you're a real tight gripper of the football, that's a tough finger to deal with throwing it. And, Mike, not to get too in the weeds about mechanics and that, but yeah, to grip the football, you throw it around with your family and friends. That middle finger, you want it to be on there securely so you can kind of control the football. And then also added to that, he's got a little bit of a different motion than the rest of quarterbacks in football. He's a little bit of a arm thrower. He got a little bit of that baseball in him. He doesn't necessarily always turn his shoulders in that. So therefore it becomes very hand and arm type of throw. And if your hand's not 100%, he's off his game. But Mike, the fact that they still can't get DK Metcalf the ball, get the hell out of here with that. How is that possible? How is that possible? And they just have issues across the board, like you said.
He wasn't targeted at all until late in the game. Is that one that we saw that was the overthrow on the sideline? That was his first target. He ultimately had one catch for 13 yards for the entire game. And it's funny because when you look at Russell's stats, he had a passer rating north of 100. That tells you how misleading the passer rating is.
Right.
And a lot of that came on that final drive when something did click a little bit, given the sense of urgency. Let's hear from both Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson in the aftermath of this game. Wilson talks about his finger. Carroll talks about bigger issues like what the hell's going on with the team right now. Here they are.
I mean, the film doesn't lie, We're missing some stuff. And I don't see indications of that in practice as we're going. And so I got to go look at the film, We can talk about all the different throws that didn't get where they're supposed to go, but I don't know what to make of it other than the fact we got to keep battling and keep trying to figure it out. I felt like we had some guys open tonight, with some chances, and unfortunately we didn't hook it up. He's got to do better. We all got to do better. I felt like we pass protected okay tonight. Did we give up one sack tonight? One, yeah, two. Yeah, I thought we protected pretty well, but we just didn't hook it up.
Would you continue to roll with Russ if he continues to look the way he does?
Yeah, he needs to make his plays when he gets his chances. I can't imagine that he won't. Can't imagine that he won't get it done.
How does your finger feel?
I feel good. I feel really good. I feel, I wish we were winning right now. We've had some 3 tough games in a row, but, so that's really my finger's not the issue. I think we got to figure out how to be better.
And I don't expect him to make excuses. That's not his way. Now, they both seemed far more muted for good reason.
Yeah, beating down
are.
Puppies there, yeah.
Yeah, but what will happen is, as they get a chance to regroup, we'll inevitably hear we can win out. We can start winning. We can win. And I understand that confidence that borders on delusion is part of the part of the game here. You're trying to make yourself believe it, so you say it, because I think that's part of it. Hey, I think we can win every game left, even if no one else believes it, even if they don't believe it as they're saying it. I think they're starting to recognize that it's time to fold the tents. And Mike Golick and I had this conversation yesterday as it relates to Baker Mayfield, that the player is never going to be the one to tap out.
No.
That somebody else has to be the one to tap him out.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that Russell Wilson's force of personality, and it gets back to, it's different, but it's similar, the way the Packers tiptoed around the secretly unvaccinated Aaron Rodgers. The Seahawks had a similar issue with Russell Wilson in the offseason where he wanted out. And everybody knows he wanted out. And you can try to say that, oh, he didn't. Just because he stayed didn't mean he didn't want out.
Yep.
So, are they going to not let him play if he is insisting that he's able to play? No. They're going to let him play.
Yeah.
Hey, well, what the hell? Let him play. If he thinks he's healthy and we keep him on the bench and we play Geno Smith, it's only going to make him more upset with us. So we got to let him play. They got no choice but to let this guy play. And whether or not the finger's the issue, again, he's not going to admit it. I'll defer to you. If you think it's an issue, there's got to be an explanation.
Yeah.
As Shereen Williams would say, if it's not the finger, then you just suck. There's only two choices. Yeah. The finger is either hampering you or you just have lost it. You're like Steve Blass, if anybody remembers that reference, where all of a sudden he just couldn't pitch anymore.
Yeah, right.
It just happens. You just lost it. Well, so either you're injured or you stink. There's no good answer here, and there's no middle ground.
No, there's no middle ground. You're right. I think the injury has made him a little stinky, right? That's how I would kind of say it. You go a long period of time, it's a broken finger. So he couldn't throw. And now you're just like, oh, yeah, you're healthy. Oh, wait, you can move your hand and grip the football? All right, play. And it's just not that easy all the time. There is a rhythm and, like, a little practice, even for guys like Russell Wilson, let alone he's probably not totally normal there quite yet. I will make that excuse for him. He's going through a slump right now. But, the problem is they do nothing to help him get out of the slump. I mean, when you got the worst defense in football, the second worst offense in football, they're the worst in time and possession, they can't run the football, they're second to worst in first downs in the game, there's no chance for them to ever get in a rhythm. It's always like, run on first, hey, it's 2nd and 10, now, make something happen, Russell, throw us a rifle. There's never an easy throw, and yeah, he's missing a few here and there. I get that. But, man, they don't do a whole lot to help him either. So I will defend him from that standpoint. I don't get it. And, yeah, they have issues across the board. I mean, that's where I go back to the conversation and just looking at it like, yeah, I don't like the rhythm of the offense. I don't really know what they're trying to get accomplished. And you got to ride it out with Russell Wilson. He's still the best player on your football team, but he is going through a cold streak. And, it's like, again, I use this analogy a lot. You've heard me say it, but it's just like, hey, we're moving the ball around. We're doing this. Hey, it's the fourth quarter. It's a big moment. Steph Curry, we haven't let you shoot all game. Now hit the three. And it's just like, well, wait, can I get another shot before then? And I feel like that's what they do to him a little bit. And to me, there's got to be a way earlier in the game to get easy completions, get a rhythm of the offense, throw some screens, get DK Metcalf the ball in a reverse or just a slant route. And get a little momentum going that way, but they don't ever seem to really, go that direction, and it's hard to play quarterback that way.
Lots of ways to get the balls in the hands of a special player. You can do the jet sweep,
that's
reverse,
right,
the bubble screen. You don't have to just send him down the field and throw him the football. And there weren't many options last night.
I mean, look at that play. Oh, you run straight, you run straight. The guy in the middle runs straight. Some of these plays I want to go, kiss my butt, Seattle. I don't care if it's Russell Wilson or not. I don't know where you want him to go with the ball. Even this play, yeah, there's a guy down the middle. But again, it's guy on the left straight, guy on the right straight, guy in the middle straight. Whoa, oh, look at this one. It's out route with 3 other guys running straight. That's where I just want to go, like, again, I mean, you look at some of these plays and you watch them on film over the last few weeks, and I go, I mean, the DBs run the routes for the receivers sometimes. They know what's coming. I mean, it's not that hard to break down. And we're used to seeing him make magic even when things don't happen. And I think that's where we're shocked. We're just not seeing any of that right now, the usual Russell Wilson magic.
And Shane Waldron, the offensive coordinator that they hired away from the Rams, not getting it done the way that they had hoped. Obviously, at least last year they got off to a great start before defenses figured them out. This year they never even really got off to a great start. Although what they were doing earlier in the year much better than what they're doing now. How about this stat?
Yeah,
5 straight 3-and-outs last night. Matching what they did against San Francisco in Week 4 when they actually won the game.
Yeah,
they had
unreal.
5 straight 3-and-outs that game. And no other team has even one stretch of 5 straight 3-and-outs all year long. So the Seahawks have 2. The other 31 combined have 0.
That it says it all right there. It just says everything we just talked about. I tried to explain. There's no rhythm, easy plays. There's no tying together of plays. There's no illusion of complexity like, hey, this play looks like this play. Oh, but it's not that play. It's a different one, even though it looks a lot like the other. There's none of that. And that's where it's hard. I mean, that was painful to watch last night. The fact that they got their first down since the second quarter there late in the fourth quarter, I mean, that's just inexcusable. This day and age in the NFL, this day and age where, like, literally referees are just looking to give offenses first down. Whoa, you breathed on the quarterback, first down. Whoa, you touched a receiver with your fingernail, first down. They couldn't even get nothing. And I don't want to take credit away from Washington completely, but I do think that this needs to be pointed out. Like, just, you and I, we watch a ton of football. Yeah, I'm Ron Jaworski, and I watch the film, and I do that too, and I just look at it, and I go, nah, it's underwhelming. And I don't see how they right the ship here in Seattle as much as I respect Russell and Pete Carroll.
And the problem is, there's always that next game coming. They played Monday night. They have to fly back across the country. They have to get ready for a game in 5 days now. And it just continues. Lather, rinse, repeat. And it makes it very difficult to ever have an opportunity to diagnose the issues and come up with bigger solutions. And when I hear Pete Carroll say it's not showing up in practice, maybe they're not practicing the right way. Maybe they're focusing on the wrong things.
Maybe it's too easy.
Seeing
practice.
this in practice.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Remember, it used to be a big deal. It was always compete, and it was ones versus ones on Wednesdays, and there was that sense of the best going against the best and making everybody better. And maybe they when you don't have great players,
yes,
on both sides of the ball,
you're right.
It doesn't matter how much you're competing, does it? There's only so good they're ever going to get as a result of that internal competition.
Well, yeah.
I think that's ultimately the problem. They just don't have enough good players.
No, I think that's exactly right. There's issues schematically we're talking about. Russell's not perfect. Pete Carroll's too conservative. And then you match it together with what you're saying, right? There's not a lot of talent. I think there is something to that. The lack of competition in practice. I don't know. Do they script for success in practice and always make it easy on the offense? Like, oh, well, we know we're going to get this defense, so we're going to run oh, you know it? Really? You know it? Wow. I mean, wow, you guys are amazing. You know it. That's what happens too in the NFL. So everybody, they make themselves feel good during practices. Oh, look, we had a great practice day. Everything was clean. That's great. I don't know. Some of the better teams I was on, they didn't practice like that. I could speak of like the Titans team I was involved with in 2008. Even the Buccaneers team early on in my career. Working in New England. There was times where Tom Brady, the ball would hit the ground a lot in practice, and you'd go, "Wow, this is not a high functioning machine." But yeah, he was playing it like legit. Like, yeah, it was legit. You didn't know exactly what you're going to get from the scout team. They didn't just give you a free pass and make it easy all the time. And, I think in a lot of ways, whether you ask Tennessee Titans and Kerry Collins when he was the quarterback there that year or Tom Brady, they got on the games, and I think they felt like the game was easier. Like, damn, practice, some of our guys were all over the stuff, and it wasn't that easy. And Jeff Fisher and Belichick threw some wrinkles in to confuse our offense and make things tough. And here we are in the game, and it is easier. We are getting kind of what we expected, or and there is something to that too. So I don't know what the issue is there, but they got to figure it out. Because like you said, they basically got to run the table, I think, to even have a chance to get back into this.
There's clearly a disconnect between how they're practicing and how they're playing,
Yeah.
and I think that's one of the reasons why they seem so flummoxed trying to make sense of what happens during games. Because going into the season, this is a game that you would have looked at and said the Seahawks are going to be good enough that they're going to, it's prime time. It's Russell's 33rd birthday. Last time he played on his birthday, had 5 touchdown passes, big win against Pittsburgh. He used to show up not just in big moments, but in all moments. And I don't look. I want to spin this back to Washington.
Yeah, we'll do that. Let's get back to that.
Let me say this.
Yeah.
Let me say this.
I'm with you.
Whatever they would have gotten for Russell Wilson in March of 2021,
Yeah.
they're going to have a hard time getting that much in March of 2022.
You're right. I mean, this is going to bring value down a little bit. I mean, I don't know it'll be a huge jump, but yeah, there's a little bit of the shine that's worn off there with Russell Wilson as far as just being untouchable and definitely one of the 5 best quarterbacks in football. No, I think we've seen some people pass him up here a little bit. There's no doubt.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.